Elon Musk founded SpaceX in 2002, but has for years resisted taking the company public. While Starlink has become a major source of revenue for SpaceX, the company still needs significant capital to fund its long-term growth plans, including putting data centers in space and people on Mars. In May, it officially filed its IPO prospectus, revealing a strong 2025 financial year with revenue nearing $19 billion. Now the public is a step closer to owning a piece of humanity's push into the final frontier. SpaceX is reportedly considering a 20% allocation for retail investors in its IPO. That's far larger than the 5 to 10% typical retail tranche. But command and control of SpaceX is drawing scrutiny. Under the company's dual-class share structure, public investors will receive Class A shares with 1 vote each, while Musk and insiders will hold Class B shares with 10 votes each. Because Musk will hold most of the supervoting Class B shares, he retains significant influence over major shareholder decisions. Now, supporters say that helps protect long-term vision, but critics argue that it weakens accountability. But for a company that is built around a popular founder, investors may be more willing to trade voting rights for exposure to the business. Now, SpaceX is now the largest IPO in history, surpassing Saudi Aramco's record. But analysts caution that investor excitement doesn't guarantee strong returns. SpaceX will face greater financial scrutiny once it's public, and that could potentially reshape expectations around its growth and profitability. Reuters analysis shows that many high-profile IPOs in recent years have underperformed the broader S&P 500 over time. While SpaceX's out-of-this-world listing is already reshaping Wall Street, Nasdaq recently introduced new fast entry rules that allow newly listed giants like SpaceX, OpenAI, and Anthropic to join major stock indices within 15 days of going public, compared with months under previous rules. So SpaceX could land in some major indices shortly after going public, and these index funds could be forced to buy millions of shares almost immediately. That means even if you don't buy SpaceX shares directly or don't want to own it at all, you could still end up with a small piece of the company if you own index funds. But there are also expectations that with such a move, these funds may need to sell a significant amount in other existing tech stocks to make room. Investors are already positioning for that shift, with some betting that smaller companies could be pushed out of major indices. The result could be heightened volatility and one of the largest reallocations of capital seen in equity markets in recent years.
And the implications go well beyond Wall Street. Now, for decades, space was largely the domain of governments, billionaire backers, and specialist investors. A SpaceX listing could change that, opening the door to a much broader pool of capital. And that could help fund everything from satellite networks and space-based data services to manufacturing in orbit. It may also widen the gap between SpaceX and its rivals. And the company already accounts for around 90% of global payload mass launched into orbit, with competitors including Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, and Europe's Arianespace still trying to catch up. A successful IPO would give SpaceX even more resources to invest in launches, satellites, and future space infrastructure, potentially cementing its position as a dominant force in the new space race.
There's a tremendous amount of need still in regards to what space can bring to, all the defense and intel communities, but also commercial applications as well. So we're seeing a growing need. We're actually seeing different types of phenomenologies that are needed now to be able to collect information. We're talking about compute on orbit or reducing latency by having strong mesh networks and tying satellites together. All of these things, bring a great economic opportunity to the marketplace.
And there's also a geopolitical dimension. As SpaceX enters public markets, investors will be buying into a company that has become deeply embedded in America's space and national security infrastructure. NASA relies on SpaceX for missions to the International Space Station and future lunar programs, while the Pentagon depends on Starlink for military communications, including in Ukraine. That growing influence is raising questions about how much government should rely on a single private company for critical services. And that dominance is also drawing attention overseas. China is rapidly building its own satellite networks and space capabilities as competition in orbit increasingly becomes part of a broader rivalry between major powers.